Hi all, it's Sal coming back at you with another video. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I have more videos coming for you every day. Everything that I'm going to be talking about in this video is in my book, From Pre-Med to Med Student. It's available on Amazon.com. It is a comprehensive guide for applying to and getting accepted into a United States medical school, so please check it out. And let's get on with the video. So today's video is about the question, why you didn't get the offer to medical school. Now this is assuming that you've already gotten an interview invite and you went to the interview, you finished the interview, you thought you did a great job, and then later on you found out you didn't get the offer. So there are 4 things that I want to focus on in this video, but let's start with the main one, and that is the interview. Because really, you're there for the interview, right? And I talk about this in my book a lot. There are various formats for interviews now for medical schools. There are the multiple mini interviews, there's the one-on-one, there's a group interview. Some schools combine most of them as well. So there are, and again, I speak about all of this in my book, From Pre-Med to Med Student. So if all of this sounds foreign to you, I talk about extensively in my book. You can get it on Amazon.com. Now, moving forward about the interviews, you were probably not confident during your interview. You probably didn't come off as well composed. You probably didn't have a cohesive story. You probably were either too timid or too aggressive. People fall on both sides of the spectrum here. If you're in a group interview and you're talking all the time and you're not giving your fellow students an opportunity to talk, then that's going to turn off the committee and you may not get an offer. Now, if you are in the opposite side of the spectrum and you're in a group interview and you only say 1 or 2 words, you may not be contributing to the conversation, and then the committee may think that, hey, the student, you know, may be great on paper, but really doesn't know how to express his or her thoughts. So that's one thing to consider. So with the individual interview, they're trying to figure out parts and characteristics about you that they didn't get on paper. So that means don't talk about your GPA or your MCAT. Frankly, what you want to talk about are your experiences, either your extracurricular experiences or your research experiences or things that you've simply done in your life. If you went backpacking in Europe, talk about that. Talk about what you learned from that. Talk about what you saw in terms of healthcare disparities. These are things that really help you shine during an interview that other students may not be thinking about. It's kind of like online dating, right? When you meet someone online, you see their profile, they mention the things that their personality jives with, and you might be like, oh, okay, this person likes hiking, I also like hiking as well, and then kind of that's how you connect. So you want to be able to portray what are the characteristics and attributes of you that's going to jive with what that medical school is looking for. A lot of medical schools look for things like leadership skills, volunteering skills, and things like that. And if you have those skills, definitely make them shine. And I talk about this extensively in my book, From Pre-Med to Med Student, available on Amazon.com, about how you want to research the schools that you're applying to and make sure that your application is honed in and kind of fine-tuned for that school and what it's looking for. So reason number 2 for why you didn't get the offer, and this kind of has to do with when you apply to medical school, right? And I talk about this in my book a lot. It's very important that you apply early, because if you're applying later in the application cycle, there's less seats available, and what's going to happen is that the applicant pool becomes more competitive. It artificially becomes more competitive. It's the same applicant pool inherently, but the committee just has a magnifying glass on every application that they're looking at. So it could be that you simply applied later in the cycle, you got a later interview invite, and now they're looking for really competitive candidates to send out those offers to. So this is kind of something that I don't want to say is outside of your control, because it definitely is. You could have applied earlier, but at this point, late in the game, when you've already had the interview and you went back to your state, or you know you're in your dorm or something like that, and you're not getting the offer, you kind of know what happened. You know, you applied late in the cycle. Even if you knocked the interview out of the park, they may simply be looking at a more competitive applicant. So reason number 3 for why you didn't get the offer is you didn't fit what the medical school was looking for. A lot of medical schools focus on academic credentials, so they look at your GPA, your MCAT, and things like that. Other schools look at leadership skills, volunteering skills, extracurriculars, and you have to do this research beforehand. You have to go to the med school site, you have to talk to some of the faculty and students there and really get an understanding for what that medical school is looking for. I talk about this extensively in my book. You want to go and get an MSAR subscription. You want to go into the database and see what kind of students that school accepts. And if you do this research beforehand, then you'll know that when you're making a medical school application list, that these are the schools that I'm applying to and the reasons for why you're applying to that school. Now, if you've already done the interview and didn't get the offer, and let's say you really do genuinely think you blew the interview out the ballpark, and let's say your GPA and MCAT are high, your extracurriculars are doing well as well, then really it could just be a case of that the medical school was simply looking for some other different qualities that you didn't fit. Now this is kind of under your control, and it's kind of not. Even if you did the research on the medical school and let's say you fit everything on paper, they could simply be looking for something a little bit different that year, and it could just be bad luck. So that's another reason. So the 4th reason for why you probably didn't get an offer from the medical school is if this medical school had a certain activity right? So a lot of medical schools now, during the interviews, they have activities or group activities, and they kind of observe and how you get along with other students. And if you came off as too aggressive or too timid or shy, they might take that into account and kind of throw that into the committee's eyes, and they might say that, hey, this student, you know, is great on paper, but I really didn't notice his leadership skills or his or her communication skills that well during the group activity. So that could be another reason. So if you didn't get an offer for medical school, do not worry. A lot of people don't get offers for medical school and then they reapply. But if you are reapplying, then make sure that you're doing everything you can to bolster your application. I talk about this extensively in my book, From Pre-Med to Med Students, available on Amazon.com. Now, when you bolster your application, you want to focus on obviously the academics, your GPA and MCAT, but focus on your interview skills. Get a mock interviewer, a professional. Send your personal statement to a professional reviewer. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can. Nitpick at your application. Do I have enough research? Do I have enough volunteering hours? Do I have enough leadership skills? What am I going to talk about when they ask me these questions, X, Y, Z in the interview? Make sure you have every box checked off and that you have the best possible application. Do not rush into the application cycle. And I talk about all of this in my book. So there you have it. Those are the reasons why you didn't get the offer to medical school. I hope this video was helpful, and as always, please check out my book, From Pre-Med to Med Students, available on Amazon.com. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I have more videos coming every day, and I will talk to you in the next video.